Hi, CAZA. This is Gabe calling from Arlington, Virginia. I've got a question about some stuff I've seen happening on my street lately. So I've noticed through Zillow.com that two properties directly across the street from me have gone into foreclosure and are now being listed for sale. And this is in addition to a house also across the street that's up for rent now. And all this is following my next door neighbor having been foreclosed on himself about 8 months ago. So I'm just sort of curious to know what's going on lately. Is it as simple as a tax rate increase, or is there something else I need to be aware of? And then two, from a real estate investing perspective, what kind of opportunities are there out there for foreclosures, and what kinds of things would I need to be aware of as an investor? Thanks.
What's up, Gabe? Hey, man, thanks for the question. So that's a great question. Luckily enough, I know where it is you live. I know the street, that you're on. I know the situation. I might have answered it a little bit differently if I didn't know. But if I didn't know, I would maybe be concerned about what's the economic growth in that area. Are we seeing jobs leaving the area, and maybe that's causing some kind of depression in that particular market, and it's forcing people to either move out of the area, or they're getting a reduction in pay, which is then squeezing their ability to pay the mortgage, which is causing some of the foreclosures that you see. But I know that that's not the case in Arlington, which is a highly desirable place. I think there might have just been random timing. Sometimes when you see two properties side by side that go to foreclosure at the same time, it could have been that one investor owned both those properties, and they just hit hard times. And it happens to investors sometimes that they bought at the wrong time. The rents aren't covering their mortgage, and when the stuff finally hits the fan, they lose all their assets at one time, right? That could be it. I have to go in and look at the tax records to see what the situation was there. I know that the neighbor that you had next door, he's somebody that took, I believe, equity out of his property and kind of lived off of the equity in his property for a long time, and then finally just came to a point where he couldn't afford to make those payments anymore. So I think what you're seeing right now is just a random cluster of foreclosures right in your backyard. And so the follow-up question is, how can Gabe capitalize on something like that, right? Well, there's a couple things. One, you know the market there, and you know what the rents are like in that particular neighborhood, so you can quickly do the math and determine, hey, if I'm able to buy these at the list price that the banks have put them out for, can I cover and make positive cash flow from the acquisition of these assets, right? So that would be question number one you'd be asking yourself. If you can't, because maybe the properties need a lot of repair, or maybe the bank is asking for too much money for that particular property, then you would ask yourself, at what price do they make sense? And I would just throw out a price to the bank, right? I would get pre-approved. I would make an offer, because you just never know what the bank is willing to accept until you make an offer. And so you have unique knowledge of what things go for when it comes to rental rates and also comps in your neighborhood, and so that gives you confidence to be able to make the right offer, right? So as an investor, that's opportunity for you, right? So you got to put your retail hat, take your retail hat off and put your investment hat on. If that happened in my backyard, I'd be excited about it, because I know that the broader economic factors in that area are great. I know that the rental market in that area is great. Now you just got to acquire that property at the right price. So hope that helps. Go get them, man. And if you have specific questions, always feel free to call. But ask CAZA, and we're happy to provide the information that you're looking for. Thanks, man. Take care. Bye-bye.